Then you go off.
With 25. I was called to diagnose this vehicle, and this is the voltage. It has what we call sensor voltage reference. So what I'll do is, and it is low. When it is low, it means it's lacking power or something. I will not mind the other code. My main problem is the sensor voltage reference, and I have to check if I'm getting that 5 volts on the system. So what I'll do is, instead of erasing the fault code, I'll go into live data to check the 5 volt references. With Hyundai, they give the 5 volt references, so I'll be able to see the 5 volt reference which is off. Then I'll go and check on my wiring diagram the actual voltage which is off. So I'll wait for the live data, then I'll search for the 5 volt references and see why it is low. If it is short to ground, that's why it is low, or it's not getting to the point it has to get to. Then I'll start my tracing from there. So now let me check my voltage reference and see the 5 volt reference which is out. So let me go to voltage references. It will show up here. Now if I like, I can input voltage references so that it will come. Yes, so these are the voltage references, and you can see voltage reference 1, sensor reference 2, sensor reference 3, and sensor reference 4 is off. You can see is 0. So that means there is an open in one of the 5 volt references. So I have to check the unit that the 5 volt reference 4 supplies power to them. So what I'll do is I have to go to my wiring diagram to do the check to make the work easier for me. So let me see the fault code once again. Because with this fault code, even if I erase and turn off the key and turn it back on, it will come up again because it's an active code. So with this, the code is P06A4. So I'll search for it so that at least I can get the sensors that uses the 5 volt reference D, which is 5 volt reference 4. So I'll do that and get to my wiring diagram and do more research before I attack the job. So that will make the work easier and let me know what to do. So for the 5 volt reference, my wiring diagram tells me that 5 volt reference D is from the temperature, is from the high pressure sensor of the AC. You can see I'm measuring good battery voltage. Let me turn on the key. So from the AC pressure transducer, which is this, I think they said pin. So I'll take the socket out and you can see they've worked on the AC. So maybe they've done some work on it which is causing the whole issue. So I'll disconnect this sensor and see if my 5 volt reference will be back. So now what I'll do is I have to check the voltages on the sensor. It's pin 3. So let me start from this, and you can see I'm not getting any better voltage. Let me go to the middle one, is the ground, and getting 0 volt, and I'm not even getting the sensor voltage. None of them is reading. Let me plug it in, and you can see I'm getting 2 grams. So let me pick a test light and see where I'm getting those test signal from. Now I'll know what to do. After testing, after seeing that the white wire is the 5 volt reference for the for the pressure sensor, and I've tested it and I've seen that this is the wire that comes here. So this wire goes to the PCM. But if I try to, let me do continuity testing. Let me set my multimeter to continuity and let me test this wire. Here is the wire, and you can see it is beeping. So when I disconnect it, that means we are having connection, it is beeping, and from this side upwards I should measure 5 volts. So if the ground sorry, if the issue which is being caused, if the issue is from the line from this side going to this side, I should have a 5 volt if the problem is from the PCM coming to the board, I should measure 5 volts. But now I'm measuring 0 volts, and I should measure the voltage maybe on the line and see if there is any ground on it. Now I'm measuring 0 volts. That means the ground will be from this side. So I have to check and disconnect, because now I've disconnected every I think they have 2 sensors, fuel tank pressure and this pressure transducer. So I've disconnected it and I'm still seeing 0 volts, which means the PCM is not giving out that voltage. So I'll check the PCM pin to check the continuity and see where the ground shortage is. Then I'll know what to do. So now, to test that it is shorted to ground, you can see my multimeter is beeping and there is a huge resistance because I've connected ground to this to the wire going to the control board. So my problem is not from the wire from the sensor to the fuse box, it's rather from the control board from the fuse box to the control board. So I'll check and see where they join the ground, because you can see that now any ground that I'll touch, it will beep because it has been shorted to ground. So I have to find for that ground which is causing the issue. Now I've identified the pin 13 on the control board. So what I have to do is I have to remove this whole thing and start tracing from here to see where the ground is connected. Then I'll know what to do from there. So now what I'll do is I have to untape all this wiring and check where the actual problem is. So it will be from this line upwards. So I have to untape it and see if I can find where they did that connection. So if there is any connection, then I'll know what to do. So let me do that and then reveal the wire. So I've peeled the wire and I can't find anything so far, but normally if I should have pinned it here and tested it, if I pin it on this wire, on this orange pin, and set my multimeter to beeping, it should have beep on the ground. So it is not beeping anymore. But when I bring it to the right pin, which is when I take it to the right pin, it beeps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix everything back and see if the fault is gone. Then I'll know what to do. So now after connecting the control board back, now I can hear the beeping sound from the multimeter and it is reading. But what I realize is then I think it is from the control board, but the moment I disconnect the control board, let me disconnect it and see. So the moment I disconnect the control board, the beeping go off, which means it is from the control board. So I have to check my wiring diagram and see if there is other wires sharing the same thing, but there is no other wire too. So that means it's a short to ground in the control board. That's what I'll say. So now what I'm going to do is, the moment I disconnect the control board, everything come back to life, and I see the signal short to ground. But what I've realized is when I went back to my books, I've seen that this side doesn't have any ground, and the only ground is from the battery sensor. The battery sensor is also using 5 volt reference. So what I'll do now is I'll disconnect the battery sensor and cut the connection they've done on it, and remove the connection that they've done on it. Then what I'll do next is I'll plug everything in and see if that reference voltage sensor will be short to ground still. If it does not short to ground, then I'll redo this battery sensor connection properly as it has to be done. So what I'll do is I'll plug everything back. So now it is still beeping, and what I have to do is disconnect this sensor. So let me disconnect it and bring you back. So after disconnecting the sensor, it is still beeping. So the last thing left for me to do is disconnect this one. There is a wire here. I'll remove it, then I'll see if it will stop beeping or it will still be beeping. So now what I've done is, let me remove this sensor, this circuit, and the moment I do that, it still beeps because it is still short to ground. So the fault is not from this side, so I still have to check where I'm getting the issue from, right? The ground. If it's not anything, then it will be from the control board, which is being shorted to ground somewhere in it.